Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Work at Home Rockstar podcast. Excited for today's guest. She is the CEO of DCA Virtual Business Support. And what they do is they help business owners focus on the tasks that only they can do by providing some outsourcing services. So super excited to be rocking out today with Denise Cagan. Hey, Denise, you ready to rock?
I am so ready to rock.
Perfect. So we always start off here on a good note. Tell me a story of success in your business that we can be inspired by.
So, um, 2019 is going to start out not sounding like a success. We ended 2019 in the red. It was a very painful year where we tried, I'm going to say we threw spaghetti against the wall, where we had no clue what we were doing in business development. And we were trying everything from government contracting that sucked up a lot of time to a whole bunch of other things. Turn it around the next year, we wind up in the black. Okay. So what got us there is really some solid advisor, a solid advisor, mentorship, coaching to get us from that kind of critical spot where I was literally saying, do I really want to stay in business for myself? To, okay, this looks like a formula that we can grow. And we were actually able to give bonuses to our employees that year. It was incredible.
Wow, good job. Well done.
Yeah.
And so how was that experience like of just not knowing whether you're going to continue or not?
It was anxious, made me anxious. It was scary. I had one eye on the ads. What kind of job would I take? The other eye on the business. And when you're dividing your attention like that, it can, creates a lot of stress because your brain's like, which direction are you going in, girl?
Yeah, exactly. But now did you like feel more confident though, knowing that you had a backup plan or like,
No, it was creating more stress
uh,
having to make a decision. And when I
mm,
finally did make a decision, it got rid of the stress. I was like, nope, this is my business. I've been in business for, at that point, just under 20 years. It's now over 20 years.
okay.
Um, so when I finally made the decision, no, this is what I'm going to do, and I stopped looking at ads, I my tension just went away.
Yeah, full steam ahead, right?
Mhm.
What made you decide, like what was there something that happened that made you decide that yes, I'm moving forward with this business?
It's a lot of the things that remote work brings. It brings that flexibility. Also in 2020, I decided to move my company from Charlotte, North Carolina to Richmond, Virginia, because, well, my daughter had a baby and I wanted to be where I could watch the grandbaby grow up. So she's 3 years old now. And it was, I didn't want to be tied to having to be at a job from this time to that time. That I have been a business owner for so long that I just knew I would struggle with that.
So you had a solid why.
Oh yeah, a couple of solid whys. The granddaughter being one, and not wanting to be tied to that type of structure.
Yeah, I have to say this is a very relatable story, I think, to most people because I've been in that boat too, where things are not going well, and you start looking at those, backup plans, right?
Hmm.
But really, when it comes down to it, I think that those benefits, especially if you've gotten a taste of it, right? It's tough to go back, I think.
Yes, yeah, I agree. It's tough on both sides, when you're considering that you could have benefits that you don't actually have to pay for in your business, but then also the just the structure, And I've been in some male dominated industries in the past that I absolutely don't want to go back to. No
Uh,
offense. I just don't
no,
want to.
no offense taken. I don't want to go there either. So we're good on that. So now, okay, you've been in business for a long time. So I'm sure that not everything has gone as planned. You've hit some bad notes. So tell me, can you share something that didn't go as planned and what we can learn from that?
Yes, absolutely. So it was the year that I transitioned the company from a sole proprietorship to a S Corp, which was probably only a year. Well, it was actually my first company. When I did that, it was probably a year or two into it. And I did my own taxes because I had been doing it as a S corp or as a sole proprietor. That's just a Schedule C, not a big deal. But guess what? There's a whole lot of things you have to take into consideration when you are filing differently, like as a LLC or a S corp, because it's pass-through entity. And now I understand that, though I still don't think I'm qualified to do my own taxes. So I don't do them any longer because after about $3,000 worth of owed money to the IRS and some penalties, yeah, that was cringeworthy.
Mm,
Absolutely.
wow. Yeah, I've heard the same thing as well. Like my accountant, I ask him quite often about that kind of stuff because we're actually in the point. I'm not actually incorporated. I'm self-employed, and I've asked him a few times. When? Because I want to incorporate. I feel like it's like a thing, right? And he's like, "No, I don't think you're quite ready yet, and it's going to cost you a boatload more money in filing taxes. So really, are you going to save money on doing this?" He's like, I'll keep an eye on your numbers and we'll see. So, I may be able to do it this year, but there's a lot of things that you don't necessarily think about. It's not the same as what you were doing before. So that's good information as well. Now, what was your reasoning for incorporating?
Uh, at that time, so my first company that was more than 20 years ago, I owned it for 20 years and then sold it, was a cleaning company. And so I had people in other people's homes and businesses. So the main reason was liability. The S Corp is a separate entity from Denise. And so it made sense. And then this company is a S Corp as well. Mainly because I'm just familiar with that structure.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, because that's the thing is if you do have very limited liability to start with, and there's not a whole lot of reasons to incorporate, as I learned from my accountants.
Yes.
So that's one of those things where you get the advice from the accountant. So in your case, then you really just work familiar with it and just went for it, right?
Absolutely.
But it wouldn't necessarily be recommended for all businesses to do that, right?
Well, and keep in mind, I'm not a tax specialist or
Yeah.
lawyer, but no, I think there are definitely businesses. If you work for yourself, you have no employees, and you work directly with your clients, I think a sole proprietorship could be possible. And it depends probably on what you do. If you're doing something where you're financially in their records and, have access to that type of information, you might want to have that layer of
Mm,
protection by
hmm.
incorporating. So, and again, speak to uh, attorneys and tax advisors on tax advisors will give you the structure for financial, how it
Yeah,
will impact you financially and for your taxes. And of course, the lawyer for the legal entity structure.
yeah, absolutely. Definitely recommended that. And so that leads us right into the next topic, which is talking about your band. So
Yes.
tell me about that. Who have you got around you?
So I have about 16 people in the band right now. So very exciting. We are experiencing a period of growth, which is amazing. It's been going on for quite a while. And we've been really fortunate that we have had steady growth over the years. I believe when I incorporated this company in 2011, I brought my first team member on in 2013. And so we've just gone up from there. The some of the band members include my operations manager, who started out very, very part-time. She actually worked with me at my other company, and now she works with me here. She's been with me at least 8 years, maybe 10, but anyways, quite a bit of time. And so she's moved up through the ranks. That's another success story.
Right.
We've also been able to promote another team member to a team leader. And then the rest of the band are the supporting members, my, superhero VAs and the social media coordinators, my design and technical specialists. So that's who's on my team.
Wow. So now, what do you look for when you're hiring someone to get into your band? What's the main things you're looking for?
So first of all, we, we look for, the skills. Okay, skills are the very first thing that we look for. Are they able to do the job that we need them to do? Then we look at cultural fit. We have an extremely flexible semi-autonomous schedule. And what that means is if somebody says, I want 20 hours and I want to work from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., I already know they're not a fit because that's not how we work. Okay. We have some parameters within their where they need to schedule, like for instance, if they're doing forward-facing communications for one of our clients as their executive assistant, it needs to mirror their business hours. Okay. But that's fairly loose, could be 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. roughly. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not going to be butt in a seat for 3 hours or 4 hours a day. So I look for that type of cultural fit.
Okay. And do you have like an interview process that you put
Oh
them
yeah.
through, or do you do tests and stuff like that? So how does that all work?
So we have revised our interview process many, many times. And that also from with help from our advisor. Our process right now looks like so an initial screening, a phone interview, a Zoom interview, a 3-hour working interview, a background check, and then the offer of employment. Then we do the new hire orientation. Our new hire orientation technically lasts over a period of 30 days, though the majority of it is done. Like there's like huge blocks on the first 2 days, and then the majority of it is finished in the first 2 weeks. There's just a few other steps going on for the rest of the month.
Wow. So that's really in depth. You've got like a real good process in place. Has that always been the case?
No.
What's the
No.
difference between before and now?
So when I started up the company, as I said, the first couple of people on the team, I hired my daughter, which is one of the only family members that I've hired, just simply because I'm of the mind that if you're not able to fire them, you shouldn't hire them.
Good move.
A lot of people get stuck sometimes with underperforming family members and don't know what to do with them.
Mm-hmm.
So my daughter is a great employee. And then Deanne, who came back from the other company. Okay. So initially we started out very much like warm circles, oh, your sister's looking for a job. Okay, great. Let me have a quick conversation with her. And that's how it worked. Then we started adding in, well, you know what? I'm doing all this work, going through these resumes. When we would do an Indeed ad, it's not uncommon right now for me to get 1,000 applications. So we've had to set up criteria, things like, for instance, we aren't registered in every single state. So we filter. We only the states that we are registered in are the only ones that come to my inbox. And then we started doing the phone interview was one of the first things we enacted. And then it evolved. We had a few other iterations over time. I will say this, the book Who by Jeffrey Smart, every business owner should read that.
Love it. I love book recommendations. Good stuff.
Absolutely.
Is it on audiobook too?
I wouldn't be surprised. Yes. But it really talks about how the selection of your people and what you should be looking for and how to not get, how some people will ask, well, what's the most creative thing you've done when it has nothing to do with the job? So it really talks about distilling it down to actually defining what this person does with outcomes. What is the outcome of this position and what do you expect this role to do? And if you have that conversation with that person and you are not 90% confident they are able to produce that outcome, they should not pass on to you into the next step.
Hey Rockstar, I hope you're enjoying this episode of the Work at Home Rockstar podcast. If you didn't know already, my business is Creative Crew Agency. We build websites. Now, let's talk about your website for a minute. Most people realize that at this day and age, we need a website, but we don't really know what the website is supposed to do. And sometimes you'll just go and build a website for the sake of building a website. What I do is I make sure that your website actually accomplishes a goal. Now, there are 3 main goals to most websites. Number 1 is to provide information and build credibility. Number 2 is to schedule some sort of appointment and get them onto a sales call. Number 3 is to sell something like an e-commerce site. Now, when you're setting your website, you have to be very mindful that the visitor doesn't know what to do. And so you have to provide them with a roadmap that leads them down a path to wherever you want them to go. On my website, I want them to be on a free consultation. So that's why when you go to creativecrewagency.com, you'll see information about scheduling a free consultation. Now, for you though, I'm going to provide you with an extra link so that you can get your free website audit. Go to creativecrewagency.com/free website audit and schedule an audit with me. And I'll go through your website live and determine what we can do to improve your conversions and make sure that you're getting the business from your website. Go to creativecrewagency.com and we'll see you there.
Yeah, and a lot of this too comes down to the business owner also figuring out exactly what they need as well. Because there's a lot of I find that there's a lot of miscommunication between the person who's doing the hire and then the hiree. And it's not necessarily that they're a bad hire, it's that you didn't really have that job figured out yet, I guess, right?
That's the first step of the process, is making sure that you're conveying what you're looking for and your expectations in your job ad, not just the job description, but the job ad is usually worded slightly differently. And it's also a marketing piece. A lot of people don't understand that. You have to market your positions. You have to make people want to come work for you. So enticing people to respond to that, but in a way that's responsible, that also tells them, hey, we're a great company, but this is why you should work for us, and this is what we expect in return. Okay. And this is how you'll be compensated. So all those things, all those pieces need to be in there. As a matter of fact, there's several states and regions, countries that require you with that pay transparency to have those rates in there. So even if you're not in a location that does, you really should.
Yeah, I agree. So let's move on to a little bit to that marketing piece of it. How do you go out there and get fans and get people to like your business and be your customers and and even work for you too?
So podcasts are clearly one of the pieces. Make sure that you're out there and that you're talking about your business, whether that's in blogs, and we do blogs, we do podcasts. I do have a podcast of my own that focuses on female business ownership. And then also in your networking circles in your area. So I'm also on the board of NABO, National Association of Women Business Owners, in my region. So that's part of the piece. Being consistent on your social media. You don't have to be an expert necessarily, but if you post a message once a month, and then you forget next month, and then maybe it's 3 months go by, guess what? People aren't seeing you consistently, and the algorithms work against you. So having that consistent posting out there, you can always get better. You can always learn how to tell your story better. You can always learn how to tweak your verbiage to make it more compelling or to make people engage. But first of all, start by being consistent. Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree, because you will get better over time. And I think that there's a lot of people that get kind of stuck because they think they should be perfect at first, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's probably better to just do than to be perfect, right?
I do, especially for small business owners. I agree. I mean, if you're the Microsofts of the world, yes, you should have copy editors on site and should not, let anything go out with a mistake. Yeah. But for small businesses, don't sweat it. It's a digital age. You can switch out the thing that, spelled there THEIR instead of THERE. Not a big deal.
Yeah, exactly. And like you say, you will get better over time. And I guess your audience will grow with you as well. Because when you're first starting, you've got 0 people on your page. Mm-hmm. You just started, right? So who cares if you put out something that's, not that good, because there's nobody even looking at it yet. But by the time you get to the Microsoft level, you've got this huge audience and you're also much better, right?
Agreed. I think the other piece that I would add to the marketing is build your tribe. Okay. Figure out if you do a net promoter score, that'll tell you who your tribe is. Those who rate you at 9 and 10 all the time. But if not, figure out who it is that's willing to sing your praises. We have clients that do video testimonials for us. They go on YouTube. When I'm doing sales, I'll send a link. Hey, this is somebody who we do a similar type work for. Check it out. So you use that in your sales process, not just your marketing, but you can also use it in your marketing and on your website. And then make sure you're returning the favor. It has to be a two-way thing.
And so how would you return the favor, especially if someone wants to give you like a video testimonial?
So it could be something like we've had clients give us video testimonials. Then we turn around and say, can we do a feature article on you? Okay. And it might be right in advance of a big event that they're doing.
Yeah.
So we're doing that. I mean, it's helping us, but we're also doing them a favor by helping, get their information out. Liking them on social media, following their things, sharing at times. We have a very specific strategy about sharing partner posts, and partners could be somebody who's been a podcast guest. It could be somebody whose podcast I've been on. It could be a client. It could be somebody that's on the NABO board with me, or one of my Goldman Sachs alumni that I'm also in the group with. So we have a definite strategy for partner shares.
I love it. Yeah. And it's a win-win for everybody too, right? I mean, when you can, it's so low cost as well, which is the other part of it. This is all
It takes time.
This is all social media.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right. It does take time. However, you would assume you'd have some time blocked out for marketing anyway.
I hope so.
Spend that time. Yeah, exactly.
Called calendar
it's not like
blocking.
it used to be. Yeah, it's not like it used to be where you had to spend, tens of thousands of dollars really to do massive marketing campaigns and billboards and all that stuff. Now it's social media, and they've got social media, you've got social media. You can support each other, right?
Absolutely.
So now, over the years, you've probably had many different sources where you learn. I know you've mentioned books already and podcasts, but how is it that you get to know everything you know right now? Where did you learn it?
So first of all, massive amount of networking and just getting to know different people. Part of that includes, asking them about what's their biggest lesson in business. So some of it's just one-on-one. I've had an opportunity through another women's organization I belong to participate in mastermind groups. So I've done mastermind groups, and then coaching and advisors. I had an amazing advisor for about 3 years. And recently we split ways, not because of anything bad. I just felt like I was at a point where I probably need to do something just a little bit differently than what I have been doing. She created incredible value for the company. She was one of the ones who helped me with getting out of the red where I was. She also helped me with some of the revisions on our hiring process, got me to a point where I felt comfortable enough to make the remaining revisions on my own, and also got me to pull out and actually act like a CEO, which was why I decided to change the title from president to CEO.
Love it. We talked about that before the interview. Cool.
We did.
Cool. So she's definitely giving you some confidence boosts then.
Yes, definitely.
Right on. So, have you ever been scared to hire a coach or an advisor or anything like that, or did that kind of come natural for you?
Scared? No, but I think that most people look at, okay, well, I can get this person and go in this mastermind group or do this self-learning, and it cost me $500. And then this coach over here, which I'm not ashamed to say, my advisor was about $2,000 a month. That's not a cheap ticket. Okay. And I worked with her for 3 years. So you can do the math. But the value that was created, the value is so very different. I would not, as a matter of fact, I would have bought that self-learning module and done 2 of them, maybe 1.5. And I wouldn't have done it. I know that that's not my style. So understanding your style, but also understanding what the return on investment could be from an advisor or a coach.
Okay, great. So now it's time for your guest solo. So tell me what is exciting in your business right now.
Ooh, a whole bunch of things. So we recently started, well, maybe not all that recently, within the last 6 months, we started offering website audits. So they're tiered. You can do the just user experience. Then you can do the SEO audit. Then you can do the technical SEO audit. So we have started doing those for people, mainly because folks who know they need website work don't always know where to start, or if they need a whole new website, or can you just do a couple things to fix it? So it's been really helpful for our clients. We also work a little bit with other agencies that do marketing and do this for them. So we've been doing that. And next year, we should have coming up some consulting coming from us, which is probably my next evolution in my career.
That's awesome. So now, how does somebody go about getting, some of your services? How do they find you?
Sure. They can find us on the web, dcavirtual.com. We shortened the business name, dcavirtual.com. I'm on LinkedIn, Denise Cagan with a C, not a K. And you can, of course, email me always. And that's easiest to do probably through the website with the contact form.
Awesome. Now, and one more question. So, what would be the client that would get the most benefit from working with you?
So usually not a startup. Okay. Typically startups, one, don't have the budget, and sometimes they haven't quite sorted out what they need yet.
Yeah.
We are really good at helping people see, like past well, I need this done, but do you have a system for this? So we're good at that. I would say the entrepreneur who's found themselves growing. Okay. You're getting ready to hire your first person, or maybe you have your first 1, 2, 3, 5 people, and you are growing and you are struggling with your own things. So an executive assistant makes sense because that executive assistant can help you manage your inbox, schedule calls for you. And there's several other things. We track things in CRMs. We do some sales support, document creation, and follow up with people that you need information back for to do your work. So they're usually in a growing capacity where they're needing to either outsource some things or ready to bring in somebody that's more of a permanent partner, but on a part-time basis.
Okay, so it could be somebody who is just starting to delegate and to hire some people, or
Yes.
somebody who has already been doing some delegating and they need to do some more of that.
Yes.
Awesome. And you guys can provide lots of different types of services like VAs and stuff like that. What else do you have?
Executive assistants, that's sometimes called VA as well.
Yeah.
And then we also have social media coordinators, and we do website work, as mentioned, graphic design. We're doing some actual backfilling of graphic design for another design firm right now because they have overflow. So that's largely what we do.
Awesome. Cool. And so give us the website again.
I'm sorry?
Give us your website again.
Oh, sure. Sorry, I misunderstood what you said. DCAvirtual.com. DCAvirtual.com.
Thank you so much, Denise, for rocking out with me today. This has been a lot of fun.
It's been great. Thank you, Tim.
And to the listeners, make sure you subscribe, rate, and comment. And we'll see you next time on the Work at Home Rockstar podcast.